Okay, picking up with Algebra 2 CP Unit 10 review. I'm going to try to finish out the problems here. We're starting at 46. We'll see how we get. Okay, expand each logarithm as far as possible. So that makes it log base 2 of m to the 4th plus log base 2 of n cubed. So I'll get 4 log base 2 of m plus 3 log base 2 of n. Or I get log base 2 of m to the 5th minus log base 2 of n to the 6th. Move the powers to the front. Log base 2 of m minus 6 log base 2 of n. Okay, now moving on to some word problems. We get $1,000 invested at 8% quarterly. Determine how much the investment is worth after they give us times. So we need to figure out a few things. First few things here. First off, A is what we're trying to find out. P is equal to 1,000. R is equal to 0.08. N is equal to 4. Okay, so for each problem, I have a particular T. So and then I use my formula. A is equal to P times 1 plus R over N raised to the NT. Okay, so that's A is equal to 1,000 times 1 plus 0.08 over 1 raised to the 4 times 1. Okay, so you can simplify that if you want to. That's the same thing as 1,000 times 1.08 raised to the 4th. Okay, so I'll come back over here on the calculator, do 1,000 times 1.08 raised to the 4th. Enter. I get a dollar amount. That dollar amount is $1,360.49. Okay, 4 years. So in this case, T is equal to 4. So the same thing. A is equal to 1,000 times 1 plus, oops, I made a mistake in the previous one. N is 4. That should be 4. That should make that 2. And that means my answer is wrong. So let's figure out what the new answer is. I can bring back the last thing I put in, hit second, enter. That's the last thing I put in. And I can scroll back and change that 8 to a 2. And hit enter. Okay, that makes a little bit more sense. I thought we were making a lot more money than we should have. Okay, that's 1,082.42. Okay, so let's go back over here. Again, I've got 0.08 divided by 4 raised to the 4 times 4. So that's 1,000 raised to the 1.02 raised to the 16th. Okay, well that's close to the exact same thing I had here, but I want it to be 16th power instead of 4th power. So again, that's second enter to bring up the last thing. I can evaluate it, and so I get $1,372.79. 7 years. Okay, so for 7 years, T is equal to 7. So again, I get A is equal to 1,000. I'm going to skip a step here and say that's 1.02 raised to the 7 times, or excuse me, 4 times 7. Okay, notice that thing in the middle doesn't change. It's 8% compounded quarterly. So I'll get 1.02, and that's a 28. So again, I'm going to do second enter. Bring up the last thing, change the exponent to 28. Alright, and so I get that to be equal to $1,741.02. Okay, moving on. Value of new bicycle, initial amount. P is equal to $400. It decreases. That means we're going to subtract by 20%. R is equal to 0.2 per year. N is equal to 1. Find its value. So what we have is we have this formula. raised to the t. Okay, it breaks down to that. That's based off our same formula before where n is equal to 1. Okay, it's subtraction because it's decreasing. Okay, so I just got to figure out what t is. In this case, t is equal to 1. So plugging in 400 times 1 minus 0.2 raised to the 1. Okay, that's equal to 400 times 0.8. Okay, let's do that. 400 times 0.8. Enter. That's equal to $320. Same setup. Doing 2 years now. So t is equal to 2. So I go a is equal to 400 times 1 minus 0.2 squared. Second, enter. What I'm going to do is I'm going to raise the 8 to the second power. Okay, that's going to be what I get if I evaluate this, right? 400 raised to the 0.8 squared. I hit enter. I get 256. So after 2 years, it's worth $256. After 6 years, let's see how much it's worth. If it loses 20% per year, how much will it be worth after 6 years? Okay, remember 1 minus 0.2 is 0.8, 6 years. So I'm doing that in the calculator. Second enter to bring up the last thing I did. Change that exponent to a 6 and hit enter. And I get 104.86. So it equals $104.86. Alright, so that's depreciation. Doubling time. Okay, doubling time. N is equal to N naught times 2 raised to the t divided by d. Okay, so in our case, we double in size. The doubling time is equal to 60 years. There's our initial population. They give us this case, t is equal to 120. So I just plug in. N is equal to N naught times 2 raised to the 120 over 60. Okay, well that's equal to N naught times 2 squared, or 4 times N naught. That's the population in 120 years. 4 times the original population to 180 years. Okay, well that's N is equal to N naught times 2 raised to 180 divided by 60. So that makes N equal to N naught times 2 cubed, or 8 times the original size in 180 years. Y years. Okay, Y years. Let's change it a little bit. All right, Y years. So T is equal to Y. So again, I have N is equal to N naught times 2 raised to the Y divided by 60. Okay, well that just makes it N naught times 2 raised to the Y over 60. So I'll just clean that up a little bit and move the coefficient to the front. So 2 times y over 2 raised to the y over 60 times N naught. Okay, so we just divide however many years we have by 60 and we raise 2 to that power. Okay, last problem. Half-life of carbon. Half-life. What formula is for half-life? Okay, that's N is equal to N naught times 1/2 raised to the half-life, so T divided by the time it takes to halve. So N naught is 1,000 kilograms. T is equal to 8,000 years. Don't forget units. And then your half-life is equal to 5,730 years. So we plug in. How much do we have after 8,000 years? Well, we started with 1,000. We lose 1/2. T is 8,000 divided by 5,730. All right, so Plug that in the calculator. 1,000 times 1/2. You can do 0.5 if you want. Raised to what? 8,000 divided by 5,730. Close parentheses, hit enter. There will be approximately 379.94 kilograms. And that's your answer. So that's it for the review for Algebra 2 Unit 10, your CP. Let me know if you have questions.